Rev up your engines!
Well, with the prices of EVs coming down, it's now possible that you could even get a used EV for as little as 10 grand. I'm not advising doing it, but the fact that these prices are dropping are showing you they're not popular and people don't want them. And it doesn't matter to some extent what price they even are. If it's something that isn't convenient, why would you buy it? Hey, you know, I can buy this device here. It isn't very convenient, but what the heck? It's only $10,000, right? Hey, it's still money, not a convenient thing. With all this baloney government intervention and tax credits, right? Let's say you're in California or Massachusetts. If you found a used Chevy Volt, say for 20 grand, like one guy did, had 30,000 miles on it, with the government incentives, would be $10,000 if you qualified for them all. And there's all kinds of how much money you or your married couple makes and all this crazy nonsense. And if you live in California, this is really crazy. No wonder people are leaving California. You could get a Tesla Model 3 for about 14 grand. There is a $7,500 federal tax credit, $7,500 in state credits, and a $6,000 vehicle exchange program if you're trading in a gasoline car for an electric car, right? So, I mean, it's getting to be kind of a point of absurdity. They're just trying to prop up these electric car companies. Now they're getting to a last-ditch effort, if you ask me. Ford, GM, they say, we're not going to build as many as we thought we were. Yeah, guess what? Nobody's buying them. And they're almost always wrong about everything. So if they cut it in half, they probably need to cut it down to 1/4. Not 50%, but only 25% of what they thought they were going to make. That'd probably make even more sense. People don't want these vehicles. And you can give government subsidies all you want. And there's always an asterisk, right? Well, if you make this much money, if the battery's made in the United States, blah, 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 right? But since the prices are dropping for electric cars, and they are, the average price of a used EV last year was 50 grand, according to Edmunds. And now it's 37,000. That's a pretty big dump. 37 instead of 50, right? Because people are realizing that they're not smart things to buy. The market often will throw out things that don't work. If they're popular and people want them, the price goes up, they make more. If they aren't, the prices drop. And when they drop that much, that's a gigantic drop. 50,000 down to 37,000, right? That's a huge drop. And it'll probably drop even further because people just don't want these things. And the government may push it. But if it's not convenient to the average American, guess what? They're not going to buy it. Well, Stellantis is laying off thousands of workers, but this time it's in Italy, not the United States, because the Fiat 500e, nobody's buying them, so they're shutting that factory down for a while. Even the Europeans, the Italians, are not buying their own electric cars. Well, if you know anything about Fiat 500s, they're rolling piles of crap, and the electric ones are kind of close behind the gasoline and diesel ones too, right? 2,250 workers in the Fiat 500 plants are being laid off for a while because nobody's buying the stupid electric Fiat 500. And here's a hilarious thing. You know, the Europeans are all pushing electric cars, blah, 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 right? Italy's one of the lowest. They only have 4% electric cars in Italy. The Italians, they might be making them, but they don't want to buy them. And the funny thing is, 2023, Fiat said they were going to make 90,000 of these electric Fiat 500s, right? But they only made 77,000, and they can't sell those. So they're not making them for a while. And they hope they can sell the ones they got lying around. And the Italians sound like they've been listening to the people in California. The Italian government is weighing a plan to give a credit of $13,750 for people who buy these electric Fiats if they get rid of their gasoline car and get an electric Fiat, right? But the hilarious thing is that little bitty Fiat 500e, the electric Fiat 500, it's overpriced to begin with. It's $34,000 they start at, right? For that little rolling pile of junk Fiat 500 electric version. They're overpriced to begin with, right? Now, if you're going to get a tiny car, as far as I'm concerned, it should have a tiny price, right? But no, it doesn't. They obviously have inflation problems in Italy where they're making them. They can't even sell the stupid electric Fiats in Italy, and they got to shut the plant down for a while now because they got too many of them lying around that nobody's buying. Well, if you live in the frigid north, you know an electric car is a good idea. Well, a Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook, Illinois had cars lined up, abandoned. It was cold. The chargers didn't work. The cars all had to be abandoned there. One guy's been trying to charge his car for 4 days, and he says, no juice. And this is 3 hours being out here and leaving, and then coming back 3 hours again yesterday, and it still can't get it charged. He had to get a friend to give him a ride back and forth in a normal car, gasoline car that's working, right? I mean, does anybody realize what a joke this stuff is? If you don't know much about electric cars, here's the even worse thing. When it's really cold outside, you cannot fast charge an electric battery, or it will blow up. You have to precondition the battery. So even if you're plugged into a thing that's working, it's not charging your battery yet. First, it has to precondition it to get your battery warm enough so it can be charged quickly, because otherwise the battery will explode. Batteries are not made to be charged quickly when it's cold outside. They can't take it. And realize that all these batteries and these Teslas, they are liquid electrolyte. And if they're really cold, they will freeze. If the battery gets down to nothing, they have heaters and stuff in them to help. Of course, the heating takes electrical energy. And when your battery runs dead and you're in freezing cold suburb of Chicago, you got to plug in it. It's got to thaw the whole thing out and precondition it before you can even charge it. All these people are just stuck there. Their cars are stuck there and it's freezing cold outside, right? Let me tell you something. If you actually get 1 million or more Americans living up north buying electric cars, and when they go through cold streaks like this, there's going to be a real glut of people trying to sell their electric cars after that, because they'll say, this is the worst experience I ever had, right? Even in the sunny, nice days, okay, the electric cars, yeah, you get range anxiety and stuff, but you can quadruple it when it's really cold outside. I mean, look at New York City. They bought a bunch of electric snow plows, right, to plow the city, and they had to give up to them after a couple of years because they didn't have enough energy to plow to push the snow around, right? They're not made for cold weather, and anybody that thinks they are is out of their mind. You know, they got to heat the battery, they got to heat you, they got to drive down the road, right? And of course, these are pretty new cars. They haven't been selling all that. They're pretty new cars, right? When these things are 8 or 10 years old, they're going to be useless. Oh, I got 10 miles out of mine. It ran out of electricity. The heater doesn't work anymore. I froze to death in my car, right? The people that were the early acceptors of electric cars, hey, they're the guinea pigs, and they're going to be frozen guinea pigs, right? Just yet another reason not to buy an electric car. Well, Panasonic is soon going to make new batteries for Tesla that they say, oh, it could reduce the prices of Teslas and so on and so forth, right? Well, now wait a second. Panasonic, right? Tesla said he's going to make all his batteries in his own factories. Oh, golly gee, what happened to that? I guess it isn't working out so well. Tesla is looking to increase its control over its production of its vehicles by developing its own battery cell. Current battery cells are made by Panasonic, LG, and Cattle, and they are making a few in California. They're saying that Tesla now has basically built roughly 1 out of every 3 batteries for cars produced at Giga, Texas. So they're saying that a little bit less than 33% of the batteries they make, they're making themselves. Notice, everything is BS data, right? Not a third of the cars that Tesla's making, just a third of the ones he's making in Giga, Texas, right? So much for old Elon Musk having vertical integration where he's going to build the stuff and control it. He's already farming it out even further to Panasonic. They're going to make even more batteries for him. Don't ever listen to what that guy says, because he's full of baloney. Say, well, we're going to make our own batteries. We'll solve that problem. So now what are they doing? They cut a deal where they're getting even more of them made by Panasonic. Don't listen to a word that guy says. He's so full of baloney. Hey, you can make a sandwich out of him. Well, you might think the world's totally insane. This proves that it's not yet totally insane. This is one of those flying car jobs that it was called the X-Turismo hover bike. Well, the company that was building them, guess what? Just went bankrupt. This wasn't even one of those crazy, well, it's electric batteries, right? Well, it had a motor. It had a Kawasaki motor. It was a hybrid system, right? So it had an actual motor. For a little thing like that, you could fly around like Luke Skywalker or something. They started at $770,000. Now, how many people are going to spend that kind of money for some kind of goofball toy like that? And on top of it, in Japan, you had to have a pilot's license to be able to drive drive the thing. Because, of course, since it had a gasoline engine, it could go faster and higher than those clowny little ones that are just like giant drones with humans riding in them, right? So maybe there is some hope for humanity that this company went bankrupt because there weren't enough nutty people out there to spend $700-something thousand for a little bitty flying car they could sit on top of. Kind of look like a wave runner for going in air. I guess you have to call it an air runner, right? Well, they're bankrupt. They're not around anymore. They're not going to be building any of these things. So, as per usual, there are not going to be Americans riding around flying with flying cars like in the Jetsons anytime soon. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.